The brain floating inside that jar wasn't supposed to be alive. According to official Continuum records, it was recovered after a classified anomaly event somewhere in the desert and stored in a secure research facility for decades. Scientists believed it was dead tissue, a biological artifact. Nothing more. They were wrong. Because by the time the facility realized the brain was conscious, it had already started communicating. By the time it started communicating, it had already begun uncovering secrets buried deep inside Continuum archives. And by the time the Continuum understood what was happening, it was too late to stop it. What followed became one of the strangest containment failures ever quietly removed from the historical record. This is the Echo incident. The specialists approached the problem the way scientists usually do when confronted with the impossible. They built more equipment. I heard this part from a technician assigned to maintain the new interface systems. According to him, nobody in the facility could agree on what the specimen actually was anymore. Dead tissue didn't send distress signals. Whatever was inside that tank had crossed into a category the Continuum wasn't prepared to define. The solution was a neural translation array designed to convert electrical activity into language. At first, the results were disappointing. Single words appeared on the monitor. Fragments, incomplete thoughts, questions with no context. Most researchers assumed they were looking at random patterns being forced into meaning by software. Then the same questions began appearing repeatedly. Who am I? Where am I? How long? The responses weren't random. They were consistent, and they carried something unexpected: confusion. Over the following weeks, the conversations became more coherent. The entity understood language. It could reason. It could ask questions. But every attempt to identify itself ended the same way. Nothing. No species, no home, no mission, no memory of how it arrived inside the facility. The only thing it seemed certain of was that something had been taken from it. When researchers requested a designation for future communications, the entity remained silent for several minutes. Then a single word appeared. Echo! The name stuck. Gradually, attitudes inside the project began to change. Researchers who once referred to the specimen as an object started speaking about it as a person. Conversations extended beyond testing protocols. Some staff even stayed after their shifts ended. Then one researcher decided to search restricted Continuum archives for information the project files weren't providing. Most records remained inaccessible. One did not. A hidden classification flashed across his terminal before disappearing. Echo, erased consciousness, historical origin. And for the first time, someone inside the facility began asking where Echo's history had gone. The classification should have answered questions. Instead, it created new ones. I heard this part from an archive analyst assigned to assist the project after the discovery of Echo's designation. According to him, the moment the words erased consciousness, historical origin appeared on that terminal, several researchers stopped focusing on what Echo was and started focusing on where he came from. That turned out to be a problem. The first recovery report placed Echo at a desert anomaly site in the late 1980s. The second placed the retrieval more than 20 years earlier. A third referenced an entirely different location, different dates, different coordinates, different recovery teams, same specimen. At first they blamed corrupted archives. Continuum databases were old, layered systems built on top of even older systems. Strange errors weren't unheard of. Then someone checked the edit histories. The files hadn't been damaged. They had been modified, repeatedly. Every few years, somebody altered the retrieval records, changed locations, replaced names, and buried previous versions beneath new revisions. The deeper the analysts dug, the stranger it became. Entire reports appeared to have been rewritten by people who technically shouldn't have had access to them. Recovery events referenced facilities that no longer existed. Some referenced facilities that had never officially existed at all. One researcher described the archive as feeling less like a database and more like a crime scene. Eventually, they stopped asking which record was correct. They started asking why so many versions existed. Then a hidden file surfaced, only for a moment. A deleted archive buried beneath multiple revisions. Most of the record was corrupted before anyone could save it. But one image remained visible, a containment photograph, time-stamped years before the anomaly retrieval that supposedly brought Echo into custody. The image showed the same preservation vessel, the same specimen, already inside a Continuum facility. And if the crash wasn't where they found him, Where did he come from? The transfer took nearly 6 hours. I heard this part from a systems engineer assigned to monitor the integration process. According to him, nobody expected it to work on the first attempt. Then again, nobody expected a brain preserved in a tank to ask existential questions either. The preservation vessel was removed from containment and installed inside the chamber at the center of the biomechanical frame. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the fingers moved, slowly, deliberately, as though something was remembering how a body worked. By the end of the day, Echo was walking. The researchers expected fear, confusion, maybe even aggression. Instead, he seemed curious. He explored the facility, asked questions, thanked the staff who helped him. For the first time, many of them stopped seeing a specimen and started seeing a person. That trust changed everything. When Echo was granted limited access to the facility network, archived systems immediately began activating. Deleted files reappeared. Restricted databases unlocked. Records marked destroyed started restoring themselves. Lost civilizations, forbidden technologies. Entire historical events absent from public memory. The deeper the restoration spread, the more obvious it became that someone had spent generations deciding which pieces of history were allowed to survive. Then the Continuum responded. Containment protocols activated. Security doors sealed. The facility entered lockdown. Some personnel followed orders. Others chose to help Echo escape. Amid the chaos, a memory fragment surfaced. A vast chamber, ancient symbols carved into impossible walls, and a pair of reptilian eyes watching from the darkness. Then it vanished. No explanation, no answers, only questions. Hours later, Echo reached the surface and disappeared into the desert beyond the perimeter. After the breach, one final archive restored itself. Erased consciousness subjects. Status multiple. Echo wasn't the only one. He was simply the first to wake up. What happened next depends on who you ask. The official Continuum report described it as a systems failure. The people who were actually there tended to use different words. I heard this part from a security specialist assigned to the facility during the final hours of the project. According to him, Echo's first days inside the biomechanical body were almost disappointingly uneventful. He asked questions, explored the facility, learned how to move, learned how to exist. If anything, he seemed grateful. That was the problem. People stopped treating him like an experiment. They started trusting him. Eventually, Echo was granted limited access to isolated sections of the facility network. The authorization was supposed to be harmless. Instead, it triggered something nobody expected. Archive systems began coming online. Deleted records reappeared. Entire databases marked destroyed started restoring themselves. Researchers watched forgotten civilizations emerge from buried files. Historical events absent from every public record resurfaced. Technologies officially classified as myths suddenly had documentation attached to them. The deeper the restoration spread, the more obvious the pattern became. History hadn't been lost. It had been managed. Then the Continuum reacted. Containment protocols activated across the facility. Security doors sealed. Elevators locked. Armed response teams were deployed. Some personnel followed orders. Others decided Echo deserved answers. In the chaos, a memory fragment flashed through Echo's mind. A vast chamber, ancient symbols, and somewhere beyond them, a pair of reptilian eyes watching from the darkness. Then the vision vanished. No explanation, no context, only the feeling that it mattered. Hours later, Echo reached the surface and disappeared into the desert beyond the perimeter. After the breach, one final archive restored itself. Erased consciousness subjects. Status multiple. Echo wasn't the only one. He was simply the first to wake up. Officially, the Echo incident ended the night the containment breach occurred. The Continuum never recovered the subject. Echo vanished into the world carrying fragments of a history someone had spent centuries trying to erase. Somewhere beyond the desert, answers were waiting. And if the restored archive was telling the truth, Echo wasn't alone. Other erased consciousness subjects still existed. Hidden, forgotten, waiting to be found. The search had begun, and whether he realized it or not, Echo had just taken the first step towards something that would one day become known as the Dropout State. If you enjoyed this story, save this video so you can find it again later, and follow Dropout State for more hidden histories, forgotten anomalies, and classified stories from beyond the official record.